All right, brazing and nitrogen flow. I've said this in earlier videos, but when it comes to brazing, the difference between a normal split system on residential, where you have one condensing unit outside, one air handler inside, it's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. Usually you only have one or two brazes on the outside because you might have a filter dryer. And then as you come towards the air handler and you're going to braze to the air handler, you'll have one brazing point on each pipe. You're done. But when you're doing a VFR system, you could say have 60 or 90 air handlers on one condensing unit. And as you go down the chain, I explained this before, as you seal up and you keep brazing, you keep sealing up all the leaks where nitrogen is coming out and making sure you have an oxygen free, so you get no copper oxides at every point. And as you seal your brazing points, your pressure that you had your little brazing ball, you know, the little BB in your ball, if you set it to braze, that might go down, pressure might go up, you still have flow, but you might start stacking up pressure in the system where nitrogen starts shooting out at a higher pressure to the point where it starts pushing your silver out and you get those leaks. Or a pipe might fall off on the other end and the nitrogen might take the route of least restriction and dump out the other side and leave you nothing. As you think you have nitrogen up here, you actually don't have nitrogen anymore. So up to this point, I pull, well, I could right here, I'm flowing a little bit here, it's leaking out at this braze joint, it's leaking out at this braze joint, it's leaking out here. Some of the nitrogen is going through the air handler expansion valve, through the coil, coming back up the suction line. And if I put my lip or my nose, I'm sweaty brow, I can feel the ever so lightly nitrogen coming out of this point. But if I cover that up, let me cover it up. I don't need that one right there. I can have too much pressure in here. So I'm going to just lightly take this one off. And I put my upper lip just where you see the hole right there. And there's nitrogen flowing very gently and softly. As long as it's flowing, that's all you need. So I know up to this point coming here, I have nitrogen flowing. Every time you keep moving down, double check, triple check, because it's really too easy to make a mistake, and you can really get lost on some of these more complicated runs where you might have 20 branches coming off and you have the high side and low side. So this is where I see mistakes happen. The guys do not double check that they have nitrogen flow, and they end up with the copper oxide and they mess up the expansion valves. That little screen or the inlet of the electronic expansion valve will get plugged because the guy says, oh, I blew my nitrogen. Yeah, you were blowing nitrogen, but it was blowing out the other end. It might as well be blowing out your ass because you're doing nothing if the nitrogen is not coming down the leg, the run that you're actually working on. Okay, so I'm gonna go off to this one and finish this off. And then once I seal up these little leaks, then the nitrogen should be flowing pretty good and coming up through here, because the ball valve, both of these ball valves are open because I don't want back pressure. I want to let it flow through. I have the ball valves down at the other end closed because I want my nitrogen to flow this way right now. And then once I finish this braze, I'm going to close this ball valve. I'm going to close it off. So as you see, this goes back and it goes to a Y branch, 3-leg, and it'll force it to come down here, come the other way. And then I'll go over there and I'll open those ball valves and I'll take off one of those service ports and I'll double check before I start brazing that I have nitrogen flowing through my ball valve. And way at the other end, I have my digital meter hooked up, and I should see no pressure. You could start to see some pressure build up as you start sealing these leaks, and you want to make sure you keep the pressure down. It doesn't go too high. All right, and actually, if you're putting in one of the Japanese systems, if you download their Japanese converted to English manual that might be 400 plus pages thick, it literally teaches you how to work on HVAC from the very most basic hands-on idea, and they explain it very detailed. But when they make an English manual, they make this little thin thing and it leaves out a lot of details, and this is why there's a lot of mistakes here in America, because they dumb it down for stupid people, and it's expensive to make manuals. So they teach you the basics, so there's a lot of screw-ups. But over in Europe and old publications and in Japan, and even in the United States around the 1940s and 50s, you had very thorough, detailed written manuals with really good pictures and graphics. Nowadays it's dumbed down, so you got dumb people, you got dumb owners, and you get dumb results. So you have to be very, very detailed. All right, see you guys.